Hi, I'm Cole Spivey. I'm the creator of Drive Film Productions of Texas. So recently, I've come across a film. Um, I'm more, if I'm going to do any type of critical analysis of film or any type of criticizing or critic stuff, I like to usually use films that I think that are going to be important films for certain reasons, and not just a passing fancy films. I know that there are critics out there that they'll review anything, but I stick to films like Taxi Driver, um, films that have kind of like an impact on us for a longer period of time, not like just like a passing fancy film, or a film that just kind of rises up, it gets a lot of attention or fad kind of thing, and then just goes away. But one film I wanted to talk about is The Fanatic. It's a 2019 film with John Travolta. Believe it or not, it is directed by Fred Durst. So Fred Durst has made quite a scene in the music industry with a little band called Limp Bizkit. Okay, Fred Durst is actually a good filmmaker. Now, we all know that John Travolta can act. And what's interesting, I used to live in Maine, in John Travolta, and we're going to see one of his scenes here. I'm going to try to wrap this up really quick so that we can get to the scene that I wanted to show you. I lived in Maine, and John Travolta actually did a lot of acting work in Maine, or he did some coming out of New York and being a dancer. There's a lot of little theaters in Maine. One of them, I think, is like the Lakeside Theater or Lake something theater that's way out there. That they do a lot of summer stock musicals and things like that. And John Travolta had come across that, so I thought that was kind of cool, because I've got this connection with Maine and everything. But The Fanatic is very, very, very good. So it's given a limited theatrical release. It was released on August 30th of 2019. The film was released to mainly negative reviews from critics. Very low reviews on Internet Movie Database, which I totally, completely disagree with. This is a 10-star film, great film. The plot is about Moose. Okay, so John Travolta is Moose. It's about an autistic man who is a huge fan of the horror film actor Hunter Dunbar, who's played by a pretty amazing actor, Devon Sawa or something like that. Sawa or something. He's a Canadian actor, Devon, from Canada. We know a lot about John Travolta, but this is probably going to get John Travolta an Oscar. I'm going to say Oscar nod. So this is going to come around later during Oscar time. Just some of the stuff that he does, and I mean, it's an amazing performance. And I'm very stoked that here's John Travolta's comeback, because we haven't really seen John Travolta in this type of light since Pulp Fiction, and of course going all the way back to Saturday Night Fever and things like that. When he in Staying Alive, if you like Staying Alive. As a kid, I liked Staying Alive, but I've always been kind of a John Travolta fan. But when I saw this, I was like, this really proves that John Travolta is not just one of those good-looking actors that are. I didn't even really think he was that good in good looking in Pulp Fiction. I thought he was amazing in Pulp Fiction. I think he was really good in Pulp Fiction. But, this one is just, it's like Dustin Hoffman good. This is like really method. So Moose finally gets an opportunity. The character that John Travolta is playing is called Moose. And he finally gets an opportunity to meet this actor, Hunter Dunbar, and to get an autograph. So this is all like around this autograph, and John Travolta's like, I just want your autograph, and he's all excited throughout the film, and he's rejected by Dunbar. And then there's this thing about Dunbar's ex-wife, who abruptly comes to see him. Moose is friends with a young paparazzi photographer played by a wonderful actress named Anna. I believe it's pronounced, forgive me, but I'm going to go with Golja. I don't know. Anna Golja or Golja. Golja. Anna hasn't really done a whole lot in the industry, but she has worked for about 10 years. So this is her big debut. I mean, not debut, but this is her big moment to shine next to John Travolta in this film. But anyway, she plays a paparazzi thing, and this is not the first time that a paparazzi type of character has been brought about in the Hollywood independent filmmaking kind of scene. Steve Buscemi actually played paparazzi with. Oh man, I don't want to say. I don't want to say Brad Pitt. It's not Brad Pitt, but it's the other Pitt guy. Michael Pitt or whatever his name is, the Pitt guy with the blonde hair, the younger Pitt. Find his name. Trying to get to his name real quick. There was a lovely film with Steve Buscemi, and it's directed. Kind of bombing here, but I'm trying to see if. Oh, Michael Pitt, right. Anyway, regardless, it's not the first time a paparazzi character has been brought into the limelight of a film. That's been done before, but it's interesting to see it come about again. And Fred Durst is definitely making this kind of like Of Mice and Men, Steinbeck kind of relationship between Moose and Hunter Dunbar. So there's definitely of Mice and Men kind of thing. This, you can see him as this special. Both of them are kind of special in a way. Hunter and Moose are both special in their different ways. Leah comes about as a friend to John Travolta or to Moose. She comes about as a friend to Moose, who kind of watches over him, kind of like a guardian angel and stuff, and forms a relationship with Moose. So Moose goes to Dunbar's house, and we're about to see a scene in a minute about that, and talking about what happens in the house, and tries to give him a letter in search of an autograph, possibly. Dunbar confronts Moose and tells him to stay out of his neighborhood because Dunbar has a young son. He's an actor with a young son, and he's very protective of his son. Not taking a hint, Moose comes back again and again and climbs a fence, but is scared off by Dunbar's housekeeper, and Moose keeps returning and eventually gains entry to the house after accidentally pushing the housekeeper into a stone fountain, killing her. So Dunbar actually kills the housekeeper on accident. I'm sorry, not Dunbar. Oh my God, it's a technical thing. It's not Dunbar. It's Moose that kills him. Sorry, it's Moose. So Moose is the one that accidentally kills the housekeeper. Later, Dunbar is blamed for it, but Moose is the one who accidentally pushes the housekeeper into the stone fountain, killing her, played by John Travolta. Moose, again rejected by Dunbar, who calls Moose a stalker and threatens to shoot Moose if he sees him in the neighborhood again. Moose returns and ties up Dunbar while he sleeps, and Moose first dresses up as Jason from Friday the 13th, wearing the mask, the hockey mask and everything, and pretends to stab Dunbar. But his blade is revealed to be a retractable prop knife, so not a real knife. Dunbar attacks and nearly kills Moose, shooting off his fingers, okay, which is a very gritty scene. It's very, very grotesque. With a hidden rifle and stabbing him in the eye. So he stabs Moose in the eye. And the way that John Travolta is just, he does this like, it's just beautifully done. And after seeming change of heart, Dunbar spares Moose and lets him leave. So Moose wanders the streets of Hollywood, passing tourists' requests to take photos with him as he's bleeding, believing his wounds are just part of a realistic costume, which is a great scene. I don't know why it's included in this plot thing. It's part of the plot, but it's very very quick passing in the plot. So I don't know why they're concluding that, because it's not an important part of the plot. But Leah then sees him, which is important. And as the movie ends, Dunbar is seen being arrested. The actor Dunbar is seen being arrested for the murder of the housekeeper. So I want to make sure that you understand that Moose is the one that actually accidentally kills the housekeeper. But anyway, the plot is, I think that this film would not have worked without John Travolta. And I'm going to show you why. So we're going to have to take it. I actually got to see the film through Redbox Entertainment, which is actually, you can do Redbox streaming. And what's interesting about that Redbox streaming is that it's actually cheap. So we're going to turn some of these things off here. I'm going to show this right here. So we're going to show a scene with Dunbar and Moose.
Just let me go, man. I'm an actor, right? Well, actors, they try this technique called visualization.
What is that? What is that?
It means to imagine. You want to try this technique with me? All right, here, come here. Kneel down, get comfortable. Drop your shoulders, relax. Go ahead, drop them. Just feel comfortable. Just relax. I need you to take a deep breath in. Yeah. Now I want you to imagine you and me.
You and me?
Yeah, you see us?
I do.
All right. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change these dirty clothes. We're gonna take off this sweat and this blood and this gasoline, and we're gonna put on some fresh guts. We're gonna look spiffy, Moose. We're gonna look good, and then we're gonna go out on the town. We're gonna go one of those Hollywood fancy joints.
Monsieur Franks? Monsieur Franks? We're going to Monsieur Franks?
Wherever you want, man. We'll go wherever you want. I'll call my manager. He'll get us a table wherever you want to go. And when it's all done, we'll get a big bowl of chocolate ice cream.
Strawberry ice cream.
Yeah. Strawberry ice cream, Moose, of course. And then we'll come back to my place and throw in a couple of my action films, watch them on the HD TV. Yeah, does that sound good, man?
I love you. I love you.
You, me, a couple of action flicks, and some strawberry ice cream, right? You and I, man.
It's you and me.
Hey, we just gotta take these ropes off first, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Man, where do you see this collection?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. You just get serious now. Where'd you learn these?
YouTube.
YouTube?
Teaches you everything. Teaches all kind of knots. C knots, bear knots. Put it here, pal.
All right. So we've got an argument here. I don't know if Fred Durst is really trying to make it, but it's really a film about men. And it's interesting because I don't know if you fly on an airplane and you get to sit next to a character like Moose, or if you're, I don't know, driving, or on the other end as a passenger, and someone's driving you and the character's like Moose, okay? Or maybe you're on the subway or you're walking along, but sometimes we're put in front of these characters, and then our character is judged by other people or by the Almighty because of how we use discretion or judgment onto that other character, okay? So this is really about class systems in a way, but since Moose is able to make money, just as Hunter Dunbar is, they both are interpreted differently as worthiness. Who is worthy? Is Moose the worthy character, or is Hunter Dunbar, the famous actor, is he the worthy character? I think this is probably one of the most important films that I've seen, I think probably in the last 10 years, and definitely is going to shine at the Oscars. It might be stubbed because of the fact that it's dealing with some Hollywood issues with paparazzi and maybe stalkers and things like that. But the one thing that Fred Durst is making a point, and I think about Moose, is that he's not a stalker, but yet he goes into this guy's house, and so the law would see him as a stalker. There's something else driving Moose other than just stalking. It's like a love for something, or to want to be loved. Because if you're Moose or you're Hunter Dunbar, you still want to be loved. And I think this is what this film is about. Both these characters, in one way or another, want to be loved. We all want to be loved. It's the one thing that unites us all. It unites the two characters in Of Mice and Men. They both want to be loved, and they both dream of different things. They both have dreams, and they want to be loved. Anyway, very good film. Fred Durst, very good director. I'm very saddened that the critics hate it. I'm hoping that it will get some Oscar attention, and I hope that John Travolta gets an Oscar nod for this role, because I think it's very internally driven. I think it's a great performance. I think John Travolta puts a lot of his own character and treats the worthiness of Moose, or he treats Moose with much humanity and compassion, and it's a great performance. And also Durst's direction is wonderful. He uses some cartoon. There's moments where the scenes are delineated or separated in what I would call French beats. If you're familiar with French beats, it's when one scene ends, another scene begins, and he'll have a little cartoon moment or a moment of a drawing that looks a little like R. Crumb's kind of stuff, which I thought was interesting. Very, 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 very good film. My favorite film that I've seen this year, and probably one of the most important films, I think, in the last 10 years. It has like this Of Mice and Men message that Steinbeck has brought about, and a film about men. I think it's about how we see men, or what men should be. It's a man film. I don't know if chicks would like it if you took her girlfriend or something like that to the film. Anyway, God bless. Thanks for watching, and this is my review of The Fanatic.